Infamous Second Son, developed by Suckerpunch Productions, is the third game in the Infamous franchise. The series had its start on the PlayStation 3 in 2009, then was followed up with a sequel in the year 2011. The sequel also received a vampire-themed DLC expansion called Festival of Blood. The series up until 2014 followed the protagonist Cole McGrath, a bike courier who received his powers from surviving a large explosion in the fictional city Empire City. The series was known for following an original, non-comic book superhero and being given the choice to follow a path of good or evil. Cole quickly became a fan favorite among the PlayStation community, but after the end of Infamous 2, the franchise couldn't continue with him. So, they replaced him with a new face, a second son. This game doesn't seem to be as talked about as the other entries in the franchise. So today, I'll answer the question, is it underrated? Welcome to the Infamous Second Son Retrospective. Seven years before this game, a small number of people called conduits emerged. This group contained varying types of superpowers. The Department of Unified Protection, or DUP, was formed to hunt down, detain, and lock away all conduits, which they considered bioterrorists. At the start of Second Son, the DUP believes that all bioterrorists are currently locked up. With their mission seemingly fulfilled, the DUP is being phased out so that the military can take over. The first transport of bioterrorists leaves the DUP detention facility at Curtin Station, headed for an army prison in upstate Washington. It will never arrive. The game starts with a neat spray painting section, where you hold the controller sideways and press R2 to spray like you're using a spray can. This is our introduction to our main protagonist, Delson Rowe, a 24-year-old graffiti artist of Native American descent who belongs to the Akomish Reservation. As we finish up our latest masterpiece, the local police arrive to arrest Delson.
Oh, genius. Real genius.
Who's out there?
It's just me, Betty. Would you put
Delson.
the stapler down? Seriously.
Were you up to mischief?
Come on, I know you're in there. So just come on out, or I'll call Betty and she'll be here in 5 minutes with the keys.
You were up to mischief.
Okay, well, come on, seriously, what are you gonna do here?
Well, I have no choice. He's a cop. I have to be back here in 5 minutes, and if you're still here...
As Delson escapes, thanks to Betty, you platform your way back to the Longhouse and you run into your brother, Reggie.
Hey, man, I've been looking like forever for you. We should probably just get inside.
You have any idea how embarrassing it is for me to keep arresting my own brother over and over and over again?
Maybe you should stop arresting your brother over and over and over again.
You think this is a joke?
No, I don't.
Is this how you want to leave your mark on the world, huh? You think this would make our parents proud? Misdemeanor vandalism?
Listen, man, there's a lot of scary shit in the world, and while I'm out there actually trying to assert my talent,
You're trying to
cause...
assert your talent. I mean, what the
Why
hell
do
are you
always
even
do
talking
this,
about?
Reggie? Why don't you just let me
explain
be
it
who
to me.
I
Tell
am?
me what big, bad,
If you
scary
would
shit
listen,
you're
I
gonna
would
stare us
explain
from.
it to you.
Really? Because I don't seem to get
Reggie.
it. What?
Truck.
Delson helps a trapped conduit, but once the conduit sees Reggie as a cop, he holds Delson as protection from Reggie. Delson grabs the conduit's arm and somehow gains his powers. Delson wakes up realizing he has powers and is struggling to keep them under control. He reacts terrified because he doesn't know how this happened or what his body is even doing.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Make it stop!
You follow the conduit who you've acquired your powers from through the fish cannery you were in at the very start of the game. The game takes advantage of this opportunity to give the player a little taste of Delsin's basic smoke powers controls, before they will be fully fleshed out later on in the game. When you grab the conduit, Hank's arm, you gain more smoke abilities and get a glimpse of his backstory. After facing off against Hank, he escapes and we are introduced to our main antagonist, Augustine.
Let me go! Just let me walk away! Nobody's ever gotta know about any of this! Wait a minute! Stop! Let's talk about this!
Oh, Henry. I am so very disappointed in you.
Well, we got him, right? I, flushed that mean old conduit for you. Good job, everybody. Especially you, guys.
Bioterrorist. Henry Daughtry was a bioterrorist. Conduit. Is a word used by traitors who sympathize with their cause. You're not a traitor, are you?
I try not to be.
We are engaged in a life and death war with these bioterrorists, and it's my job to do whatever it takes to ensure that we win that war.
What? It's kind of funny because aren't you a bioterrorist too? Okay.
Yes, I am. Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. And it's clear now that you're not a coward, which means there's something that you're not telling me.
Oh, what are you doing? You can't do this, you crazy! I've got rights!
And I have the legal authority to suspend those rights whenever I feel it's necessary, like now, for instance. I'll ask again, what happened in there?
And I will tell you again.
I'm told that hurts.
Maybe I know what happened in there!
No! Betty, don't!
Really? Still nothing. Well, unless you decide that you do have something to tell me, I'll go chat with that nice old lady. But you should know, concrete is especially hard on brittle bones. And if she doesn't talk, I'll just move on to the next one, and the next, until I find someone who does. So do you have something you want to tell me? Or do you prefer that I move on to your friends here?
Your first opportunity to make a choice happens in this scene when you choose to follow the path of good or the path of evil. Turn yourself in or sacrifice the tribe. For this playthrough, I'll choose the hero journey and come back to why later.
I'm a conduit.
What?
I said I'm a conduit, alright? I caught it a second ago from that guy.
Oh, you caught it. Very funny.
Ah! God!
Delsin!
So, Betty, maybe you can give me a straight answer. Yeah, I'm told that hurts.
Delsin not only has to wrestle with the fact that he's now a bioterrorist, but also what just happened to Betty. Luckily, she speaks with him to help lift his spirits.
You're a good boy. Just happen to have smoke coming out of your fingers.
What Augustine did to the tribe and Betty is what drives the narrative going forward. The only way the shards of concrete can come out will be the same way they came in. This means you need to confront Augustine at her base in Seattle, and somehow obtain her powers to save the lives of Betty and the rest of the Akomish tribe. Was it Augustine who used her powers to hurt the tribe? Yes, but the whole reason she did was because of Delsin's smart mouth.
What? It's kind of funny because aren't you a bioterrorist too?
I know that we are supposed to love Delsin, and I do, but this is something that seems to be glossed over. What happened to Betty and the rest of the tribe is the result of Delsin antagonizing Augustine. Plain and simple. He can't charm his way out of that for me.
Alright, I got this whole thing figured out, okay? We hit the town, we load up at the all-you-can-leech conduit power buffet, We maybe swing by the Space Needle, always wanted to see it, and then we're back home to save some lives.
As Delson and Reggie make their way to Seattle, they find their road blocked by destruction and floating columns of neon lights. Delson discovers a glowing blue box called a core relay and absorbs the energy off of it to gain new abilities for his smoke powers. You also find these floating drones that, once destroyed, will drop out blast shards, which will help you upgrade certain abilities the more you save them up. Reggie rescues an abandoned bus full of people in need of help while you clear the way for the bus to move on, but the people inside are scared because you have powers. They think you're dangerous.
So what am I, like Rosa Parks, and they want me to sit on the back of the bus?
This is Delson's first experience with the prejudice of being a conduit, or as these people call him, a bioterrorist. Reggie instructs Delson to wait for him to return, but instead of waiting, Delson makes his way to Seattle himself using his newfound smoke powers. Along the way, he drains a couple of core relays to gain new smoke abilities, such as getting a jump boost by launching off of the roofs of cars and hovering.
Seem to be getting the hang of your, new symptoms.
Right? And of course, the only downside being that, nope, can't think of anything. This is pretty freaking awesome.
Now you and Reggie have entered Seattle, which is where the fun really begins. Like previous games in the franchise, this entry is an open world game. You run into some trouble with the DUP while entering the city, which gives you the opportunity to really get used to the standard combat and traversal both in and out of battle. Delson's basic smoke abilities are draining smoke by using the touchpad, shooting smoke out of your hands, hovering, smoke dashing, dashing through vents to get up to roofs of tall buildings, charge attacks, and melee. Instead of Delson just throwing punches for his melee attack, his weapon of choice is a heavy chain he wraps around his arm that he infused with his smoke powers. When fighting an enemy after bringing them down to low health, you have the option to subdue or melee them. Subdue is for good karma, melee is for bad. Melee is more fun to watch, but we chose to be good.
I'm gonna be different, okay? I'm not there doing what they do. I'm there to save lives. I'm gonna be like Superman.
Something you'll notice when fighting in this first area is the destructible environments. I'm always a sucker for destructibility, especially in an open-world superhero game. There's nothing like shooting down a DUP checkpoint to watch the guards fall off, and that's something you can expect for the rest of the game. I bet you're wondering, why can't Delson just drain the powers from the DUP agents he's been fighting? Well, it turns out that Delson can't absorb the concrete powers from various DUP agents because they didn't gain their powers naturally. That means that he will have to drain the powers from prime conduits like the other two conduit prisoners who escaped on the bus at the start of the game. You and Reggie track down one of the conduits from the bus crash. Her name is Fetch, and she has neon powers. Look familiar? After you gain neon powers from Fetch, you see her backstory that is filled with the pain of family betrayal, drugs, the death of her brother, and imprisonment. She's now hellbent on taking down all drug dealers so that others won't go through what she had to. Your brother Reggie still has a hatred towards conduits and tries to convince Delson to help lock her up, but we're going to save her from our brother's rage.
No way! Look, just because you have the same affliction, not gift, affliction, doesn't mean that we're gonna pick up every little piece of trash we find. Look, I'm never going to abandon you, alright? Not ever. This one goes in a cage.
I hate seeing it, but a part of me can understand the anger Reggie has towards all conduits, possibly due to how the world and media in that world have portrayed them as monsters who only cause destruction. They aren't seen as people anymore. It also makes sense seeing what Augustine and her troops did to Betty and their entire tribe, on top of being scared for his brother. It's a lot for him. At face value, your immediate reaction is, fuck this guy for acting the way he does. But it's important to stop and try to put yourself in the shoes of characters, so that you can try to see things from their perspective, even the ones that piss you off like Reggie's been pissing me off. When there's great writing and acting, it allows you to more deeply analyze the characters and their reactions, which then makes you appreciate the game even more. Your newly obtained neon powers are quite possibly my favorite in the entire game. You can shoot laser beams out of your hands, but if you zoom in by holding L2, you can slow down time for a short period, which will give you the advantage to attack more precisely. You also have a really fast neon dash, charge shots, an energy sword for melee, and most importantly, running. This power is hands down the fastest and most fun way to move through the world. Comparing this to traversing with smoke powers, neon blows it totally out of the water. The most fun part of smoke traversal is dashing into a vent to get some air and momentum to hover, but it doesn't hold a candle to the speed and fluidity of running with neon. You can not only run fast, but up walls and do a boost when jumping. As you and Reggie are trying to track down the third conduit who escaped from the truck crash, Delsin gets a call from an unknown number from a guy who says that he's a fan of what Delsin does, and he wants to help. The fan clumsily leaves behind clues that would lead to the discovery of being the other conduit that escaped alongside Fetch. Delsin and Reggie devise a plan to track the fan to his hideout by dressing Reggie up to act and look like an escaped conduit, wreaking havoc in hopes that the fan would use his powers to remotely capture Reggie so that we can follow him to his location.
Oh. Worst idea ever. Oh, what the hell?
Woo! I gotta hand it to you, big brother. You make excellent live bait. What? It worked, didn't it? Found the angel conduit slayer. Now we go take him out. Come on, you come with me or what?
I'm gonna take this shit off. Then I'm gonna go cry myself to sleep. There's gotta be a ton of weird, spiky shit down there, and that, brother, that's all you. Oh my God.
Don't walk away, Mad. It was your plan.
What?
After a long and annoying boss battle, you finally meet and acquire the powers of the fan of Delsin's, whose real name is Eugene. Eugene's past isn't a very good one, to be honest. It's a cliché story of a nerdy kid who was bullied in high school but felt most comfortable in a video game that is obviously based off of Dungeons & Dragons. I'm not asking for anything new and groundbreaking here, but I wanted something deeper and more interesting like the other conduits.
Come on, man. You keep staying down here and playing angels and demons, you're never gonna get laid.
His powers are something that I've never seen before in any medium. Books, movies, shows, games, etc. He and you now have video powers. As well as dashing to escape or dodge enemies, you can turn invisible for a limited time to sneak around and get a better angle on your opponents. When you dodge or glide, you get these really neat digital wings. Traversing with these powers is all about staying on roofs. There are satellite dishes placed around the rooftops, which you dash into and it launches you far and high in the sky. The melee attack is yet another sword like your neon powers, but this one feels like it deals out more damage because it doesn't respond as fast as the neon one does. It feels like there's a real weight behind it. Not gonna lie, I am a little disappointed that it's just another bladed weapon. I think using a chain infused with smoke powers is by far the coolest, especially because that's not a weapon you typically see in games nowadays. After learning your new powers, you find out that Hank, the conduit you obtained your powers from, is still alive. He's pretty pissed at Augustine as well as us, and wants to get back at her. I wonder why. Delsin and Reggie decide to team up with Hank to break into Augustine's fortress, to take her and the DUP down. Perfect timing now that you've got new powers. Unfortunately, it was all a trap. Augustine used Hank to lure and detain Delsin, and his fellow conduit friends. The only other unfortunate thing is...
Where's he? Delsin, look at me. You gotta let me go.
No, I can do this.
Listen, we can't let this stuff get to you two. David, I'm so proud of you.
No.
Always have been.
No. Lindsay, don't.
I love you, bro.
Seeing this happen absolutely wrecked me. This is a perfect time to touch on the acting. Troy Baker plays Delsin Rowe and Travis Willingham plays his brother Reggie. They're very close friends in real life, so their real life connection makes it easier for the actors because they are already so brother-like. That comes with the bickering we saw in the beginning to the emotional and scary moments that have occurred. The chemistry both Troy and Travis have together is perfect for the roles they play, and it shows.
All right, but don't go anywhere. And for God's sake, don't touch anything!
After Reggie sacrifices himself, Delsin is in an absolute rage and takes it all out on Augustine. You can feel that once you take control of Delsin again. The music turns quiet with a high-pitched noise in the background, showing how blinded by anger Delsin is. The fight with Augustine, while sometimes repetitive, is intense and challenging, by Augustine showing off how powerful and hard to take down she actually is. Unfortunately, after all of this, she escapes amongst the wreckage caused by Delsin's powerful attack. The first thing Delsin does once he washes up on shore is get revenge by going after Hank for betraying him.
Oh, Reg. I'm sorry, man. You knew. You told me not to trust Hank, but I didn't listen. But I swear to you, this son of a bitch is gonna pay.
It turns out Augustine had his daughter hostage and would let her and Hank go if he did what she wanted him to. I'm actually kind of surprised she went through with letting them both go. My first thought would be that she is so ruthless about keeping conduits in prison that she would never let one go regardless of a promise she's made. You catch up with Hank and you get the option to spare or kill him while his daughter is waiting for him in a boat nearby. Number 1. Regardless if you're doing a bad karma run on this game, you're a monster if you killed him. Number 2. I'm a father, and if someone had my daughter captured, I would do literally anything on earth to get her back and to safety. I would betray everyone and everything if it meant her safety. I know not many people are parents and can relate, but I think having the option to kill Hank in front of his daughter is a little too far. I understand that Delsin is filled with his blind rage, but still too far. After this, you track down Augustine to finally drain her powers and defeat her. I loved the battle with her earlier, but this one is way better. She's tough and has a really strong defense with a deadly offense, which means you'll have to be really careful and thoughtful when you're going to attack. Halfway through the battle, Augustine stops and gives Delsin her powers along with her backstory. She has a twisted past of being in the military once people started gaining their powers. While she gained powers, she found a way to save herself by turning on a young conduit she traveled with and protected during the chaos of the city they found themselves in. Doing this, in her mind, she's convinced herself that she was doing good by imprisoning conduits to keep them safe from being killed by the military. I understand where she is coming from, but it's a little extreme. At first, I didn't understand why she would stop mid-battle and give up her powers like that, but what she did made sense. By giving him new powers, it left Delsin without his other powers for a brief while, leaving him with just the concrete power that he does not know how to use. Luckily, while he's battling her, Eugene drops core relays to buff up and teach Delsin new abilities for his concrete power. I liked how the boss battle was before Delsin got his new powers. It was challenging, kept me on my toes, and less repetitive. After he gets the powers, she turns into a weird concrete monster that is incredibly easy to take down. There's really no strategy anymore. She just runs back and forth, slowly throwing projectiles that are easy to dodge. I would have been a little disappointed if the battle went back to what it was before we got the concrete powers, because repetitiveness in boss battles can be annoying and make the experience worse. But after she turns into a rock monster, it's not exciting anymore because of how predictable she is. After finally taking her down, you expose her to the world for what she's been doing, and make your way back home. Since we chose the good karma path, we got the good ending.
It's gone.
Yeah.
They're all gone.
A promise is a promise, right?
And the others?
I just got here. You're my first stop.
You saved me, Delsin Rowe.
Hey, we're a Comish. We take care of our own, right?
If we chose the bad karma path, this is what we would have gotten.
I saw you kill dozens of innocent people. You have disgraced our people. You have disgraced our ancestors.
And you have disgraced the memory of your brother. You are a Comish no longer.
But...
See why I said we should pursue the good path? I get that the bad ending is supposed to be a middle finger to Betty and show that Delsin doesn't care what people think about him because all he cares about is his cool powers. Regardless, it's so anticlimactic that it makes you feel like you've wasted your time. Throughout your playthrough of the game, you'll be met with more, smaller decisions for karmic points, such as instead of killing your enemies, you can shoot a part of their bodies that will detain them. You can save prisoners from local DUP cages, destroy drugs that are being dealt, and other small tasks that will help you upgrade your karma. Once you get full good karma, people will start waving at you and calling your name from the streets. It's awesome, but the last thing we need to do is boost Delsin's confidence. Even though the credits have rolled, the game isn't over. You can still roam the city of Seattle in case you left any side missions or collectibles sitting around. If you know me, I like to do the main story first with a little side missions and collectibles in between, and then return to the world to do some cleanup. For this game, I recommend a balanced mix of doing collectibles, side missions, and standard story missions. Don't do too many side missions and collectibles that you forget or start to get disconnected with the story. Find yourself a good balance.
I'll explain in the truck.
What truck?
I don't have a truck, That's my truck.
Your map can show you where everything is after you take down the DUP satellites jamming your signal in each district. While doing these, you can finally get some time to get used to your new concrete powers. Having a concrete power along with all the other powers you obtain are powers that I've never used in any other game. I was impressed with how well they all control, and how much fun they are on top of how they differentiate themselves from powers in other video games. I was really excited to try out these new powers since that's been the main objective of the whole game, but I found them to be a little underwhelming. You can shoot shrapnel out of your hand, which has a really cool impact on enemies. When you run, your body is surrounded by concrete to protect you while running in battle to prevent damage, but it's hardly usable because the effect seems so brief. This power has the worst verticality in the whole game. To scale buildings, all you get is a double jump that barely does anything. The only good thing I really have to say is that the animation looks really good, and it does a decent amount of damage. Overall, a really awesome power that had a lot of potential but fell flat into the concrete.
Yeah, I'm told that hurts.
Most of the collectibles and side activities are kind of pointless and boring. Destroying hidden security cameras, listening to audio logs, and finding secret conduits for some reason. There are some that I actually enjoyed and that actually made sense to the world and story. If you thought the spray painting mechanic at the beginning of the game was fun, then you're in luck. There are locations all over Seattle that you can share your art. It may seem gimmicky to some people, but I thought it was so neat turning your controller on the side, shaking it, and using it like a spray can. I will say that it seemed like there were 3 lines recorded for when you completed the spray paint job in each area. I can't tell you how many times I've heard a man, a plan, and an aerosol can.
A man, a plan, and an aerosol can. A man, a plan, and an aerosol can. A man, a plan, and an aerosol can. A man, a plan, and an aerosol can.
You can take down armored DUP trucks that contain blast shards and a core relay. You can also shoot down drones and conduit scanning stations to obtain blast shards. Core relays give you different types of abilities for your already existing powers, whereas blast shards are used to increase the strength and usability of those powers, such as increasing damage, longer slowdown when aiming, longer time in the air while hovering, an increase in number of heavy attacks you can perform, as well as standard power usage, etc. Collecting blast shards to upgrade is a lot of fun because most of the skill tree isn't filled with useless upgrades. Everything you upgrade significantly increases your performance and power. As you perform more powerful attacks and gain karma points, you get the ability to perform an ultimate move. Ultimate moves are different for each power. but I've gotta say that Neon's ultimate move is my favorite. It subdues the enemies while you shoot neon blasts out of your hands like a turret. I like it the most because it does the most damage and it looks cool. In this game, there's the ability to fast travel, although I don't know why you'd want to. Movement is some of the most fun you'll have playing. Regardless, to unlock the ability to fast travel, you need to complete what's called District Showdowns. It's nothing really exciting. Delsin spray paints a banner and calls the DUP hotline and attracts DUP forces to his location to fight.
Hi, I was just wondering if you had any plans tonight. I know this great billboard that's been recently painted over. It's quite lovely.
You are infuriating. You stay right there. The DUP is on the way.
It's just too easy.
This is mostly to clean up the DUP presence among the city, but it's nothing challenging. Just a standard fight against DUP bad guys. Nothing we haven't done before. Quite possibly my favorite side mission has you working with a franchise classic, Zeke from the previous games. While unfortunately you don't meet him in person, you still get to talk with him and help him out as a neat throwback. Once you complete that mission, you unlock Cole's jacket, which I proudly wore the rest of my time playing. And that's not the end of the Easter eggs. All around the city there are nods to Suckerpunch's previous games, including even Sly Cooper. When infamous Second Son released in 2014, 4K and HDR wasn't an option, but since then has been patched into the game. I'm playing this game on a PS4 Pro in 4K HDR, and it looks absolutely stunning. You have the option to switch between better resolution or better performance. I always choose resolution unless I find it getting in the way of the gameplay. Seeing it on YouTube in non-4K HDR really does not do the game justice. The game is best experienced in this way. What better way to show off the beauty of infamous Second Son than a photo mode? Photo modes are always a ton of fun to play around with, and I've captured some truly stunning images. You enter photo mode by pressing L3 and R3 at the same time. What's annoying about this is that you need to go into the menu and turn on photo mode. You figure once wouldn't be a problem. You click enable photo mode in the menu and you don't have to worry about it ever again, right? Wrong. If you log out of the game for the night and you come back the next night, you have to go right into the menu and turn it back on each time. That annoyed the hell out of me. Imagine the perfect moment to capture during a battle, but you have to stop each time you log into the game and turn on photo mode. After you do, that moment's probably already passed. This was my third time playing through infamous Second Son. I played it upon release, twice. One choosing the good path and the other choosing the bad path. I needed to do a different playthrough to get the trophies for the Platinum Trophy. It was well worth it. I've noticed a lot over time that people look over this game, and I never thought it was given a fair shot. Replaying it years later shows that it still holds up and is a hidden gem in the PlayStation catalog. It's even my brother's favorite game of all time. I loved my time revisiting and reanalyzing this game. There are things that I didn't catch or appreciate the first two times around. When a game can pull that off, that really impresses me. Infamous Second Son is an excellent superhero game that doesn't rely on comics for its source material and manages to be creative and stand out all on its own. The powers were something I have never used in any other game. The gameplay and traversal was such a blast that I never even fast traveled, even if where I needed to go was on the complete other side of the map. It's not only fun to traverse though, but it gives us a better look at the city. I'll notice things that I hadn't before if it wasn't for me deciding to neon sprint my way to the other side of the city. Playing as a Native American meant a lot to me. I'm not Native American, nor do I have any Native American friends or family, but I enjoyed the inclusion of a group that isn't represented enough in video games. The performances by Troy Baker and Travis Willingham are memorable. I was absolutely floored by their interactions with each other, making it feel so real, like they are actually brothers, and the smart mouth and bickering is spot on.
That's that pitching arm again, huh?
Delsin!
Alright, come on.
The story shined a light on how the world would treat conduits today if they were real. Most people would see them as a threat at all times, and not as people anymore. Maybe it's my little hope in humanity, but this is what it would truly be like. It helped that the game took place in a real US city, compared to the made-up ones from the previous games in the franchise. The game helped me truly understand the motives of and sympathize with each character we encountered. I had my gripes with the game too. It's plain and simple that if Delsin didn't keep his smart mouth shut, no one would have gotten hurt. The choice-based options didn't seem to have a big impact other than getting the actual good ending of the story. A majority of the boss battles are annoying and quite frankly, underwhelming. But overall, I loved the game and I loved revisiting it. I highly recommend this game to anyone who enjoys superhero or action games. So the answer to the big question, is it underrated? Is yes. Thank you so much to everyone who's reached the end of this video. I appreciate you taking your time and listening to me talk about a game I really love. If you like what I'm doing and you like these type of videos, let me know in the comments below or on my social media accounts. Until next time, I love you guys. Take care of yourself and the others around you. Be safe, everyone, and play some video games.
Reg, what are you doing here?
Look, those are people over there. They need our help. Not bioterrorists, not conduits.